Hello and welcome to Behind the Scenes Building a Newsletter with Contineofy. I'm Josh, I'm your host. And today we're going to jump into Substack. This is the last platform of the three. We've gone through Beehive, Kit, and Substack. If you're new to the newsletter series, there's a few videos behind this that you might want to watch beforehand, but kind of going through this Valentine's Day weekend. It's Sunday, the weekend's over. I think a lot of people are taking tomorrow off though, considering it's President's Day. But for me, it's taking this weekend to kind of think through building a newsletter for Contineofy. And I figured I'd just kind of do a build with me series where I'm kind of just going through the process of deciding whether to be Beehive, Kit, or Substack for a newsletter. I was familiar with Beehive. I'd seen a lot of people talking about Substack on LinkedIn. And then Kit, formerly ConvertKit, was something I saw a few years back and then completely forgot about it. But then as I was Googling newsletter software, it came back up and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. So it was cool seeing the rebrand and everything play out. So if you want to see a behind the scenes of that, jump to the video before this and you'll be able to kind of get a peek of what that platform looks like from the back end. So today, without further ado, we're going to jump into Substack. I'm going to kind of give you a peek behind the curtain, play on words. So you'll get it if you haven't seen the video before. All right, so a peek behind the curtain of Substack. My newsletter is also going to be called a peek behind the curtain. So if you haven't watched previous videos, now you're catching on why I laughed when I said that. So this is what Substack looks like when someone first lands on your newsletter. It's pretty simple. There's not a lot going on, but I'll show you this is kind of the front end, and then here in a second we'll jump in the back end. But from a front end perspective, you have control over what is being shown here. So you have your home that will show your featured newsletter posts. You have this notes where you can kind of share like things that you're working on and kind of, I guess, a work in progress of thoughts and ideas before they actually become posts. You can embed a chat where people can join the app and actually have a conversation with you, and anybody that's either you could have it forward facing or you can make it so it's just for your subscribers. You have your archive. One thing that is kind of cool with Substack is that it gives you the ability to allow people to refer your newsletter. And for all the referrals, you can kind of give rewards. And then you have a leaderboard to see who's given the most referrals. But I shared that if you share this and I get 5 referrals to the newsletter, I'll give you a mention on the next newsletter. If you get 15, you'll get access to a private Slack room that I've set up. It's an open conversation where anybody can kind of jump in and ask marketing questions or what are your thoughts about this? Hey, I just launched this landing page. Can you take a look at it and see what your thoughts? I'm just looking for some feedback, that kind of stuff. And then if you get 25, we'll have a 30-minute conversation on Google Meet, kind of just talk about what your brand, what you're doing with your brand and maybe some marketing strategies. But yeah, it's kind of cool how Substack allows you to do that. I know that Beehive kind of did the CPL thing where you could pay people to promote you, but this one it's kind of more aligned with just rewards, and you have full control over how many rewards you want. I think by default it starts with 3, but you can have multiples that as people are referring more and more, you can have some really nice perks. If you're like a SaaS brand, you could throw some swag in here, a certain amount of referrals, and you get a free month of the platform. Different ideas. The About tab is then also like why you should subscribe, what's the newsletter about. Substack's the platform that I shared in a previous video that kind of has this forward-facing social media where you can kind of find and engage with people rather quickly. So I feel like it's got good visibility that as you start posting it, from a promotional standpoint, your stuff could get thrown up on the main feed and you could grow pretty quickly. And then of course people can, I think it's retask subtasks or something like that, where it's like you find something you like and you're pretty much reposting it like social media lingo, and then the people that contribute to the newsletter. So right now it's just me. So diving into the back end, if we go here to the dashboard, similar to Beehive where it shows you a lot of the stats, still baffles me if you haven't watched the last video with Kit. When you land on the dashboard, it's like, where's everything at? I did finish the steps, so like the 5-step onboarding, and it's kind of just a blank screen minus like there's like a little section probably about the same size as these 4 rectangles, and it's just like best practices and references out to their like blog on like how to build a newsletter. So I was just like, it's kind of interesting that like their dashboard doesn't like, it's not a summary of everything going on. It's just kind of blank. I digress. does give you a decent dashboard where you can at least come in here, see how many subscribers you have, see how many subscribers you've gotten from the app itself, the views of your newsletter, which is kind of crazy that I have 103 and it's lit. There's nothing there. It's literally all people can see is a peek behind the curtain. I guess that's enticing, but 103 people have viewed it since what, Friday when I created this. So it's not bad. Interesting. And then your open rates is the people actually opening up your newsletter. Your latest posts, your recent posts, and stats. And then of course there's ways to learn more about how to do best practices on Substack. Got a really good resource center, and then you can just hit this giant orange button and start asking questions. So from a setup standpoint, you have all your posts, and you have your published drafts scheduled, and then I'll show you your stats as you go. You can actually embed your podcast here. So I might do that. I might add Off the Dome here just for additional visibility, and then as people are subscribing to Substack, when a new episode becomes available, it'll automatically get added here as well. Because I'm assuming you're just adding the RSS feed. So it's just another place to distribute it. I'm not going to click chat because it opens up a new window, but it's similar to the inbox in HubSpot, where you'll just see all the different conversations and threads and everything. You have your subscribers, and it shows revenue, because a lot of these channels, they end up going paid, but you'll see all your subscribers, all your followers, your paid subscribers, and then you'll have a bar for your revenue. And then of course you can kind of see all of your subscribers. This is obviously my website pushing people here already. And then direct, I don't know how that works. 83 views for direct, unless it's counting me. And at that point, the 103 doesn't seem too crazy. You have all your emails. Pledges is one of those. It's kind of cool. You can make it unpaid newsletter, but people can pledge that the moment that you are going to make it a paid newsletter, they're pledging to subscribe. And you can set up the cost associated with that. So typically the default, it seemed like it was $5 a month. And then if you signed up for a year, they took off $10. So you got 2 months free, $50. And then there was another tier for, I think, maybe like a lifetime or something. I can't remember. But that was kind of interesting that you could at least get an idea, like, are people willing to pay for this? You got your subscriber report, your reader sharing, and you can do surveys, which this is nice because the other ones, I felt like you had to upgrade before you could get the surveys, where here it seems like you can get the surveys right off the back, so that you can, as people subscribe or start following your newsletter, you can send out a survey to try to get additional information from them, especially with SaaS, like trying to understand who they are, what their job title is. So you can kind of get an idea of who's reading your newsletter. But that was one thing I did think that was nice about Substack. There's no payment associated. Then you got sharing, and then your network effect. So you can kind of see which ones came from Substack versus other sources. And then subscriber report is going to give you the audience breakdown as well as where they're located. So world map. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Like you get all that visibility. And then the recommendations. This is where I was sharing in the YouTube channel. You can click this invite a writer to join Substack. There's not an affiliate program, but there's like this referral thing. But you share that link, and then the moment that someone clicks your link and creates a Substack on their newsletters, they'll be recommending you, and you'll also be recommending them. So it's kind of a nice, quick way to start building your network and growing your newsletter pretty quickly by doing those trades. So then you can see how many subscribers came from recommendations and how many Substacks are recommending you. So from a settings standpoint, it's this giant block of everything's in one kind of section. There is the ability to control your branding. So you can come in here and pick your fonts and colors. Like Kit, there's not a lot of choice when it comes to your fonts. Obviously the colors are there, but it's very minimalistic. There's not a lot of heavy branding with this. And then the homepage, you can style it differently. You can do grids, lists, groups. You can do your header style, whether that be a newsletter or a magazine, and it'll kind of show the different variations. I was going down a little bit of a rabbit hole earlier, and it seemed that there was an ability to kind of almost, it seemed very much like old school MySpace, where you were able to style this somehow, but I didn't go digging that far to actually unpack it all. I'm assuming like once I get a couple posts on here, then I'll start looking at the layouts and the header style grids and all of that just to kind of see how things get rearranged. But the Google post or the Google search I did, it was showing them like had all different colors, and it almost reminded me of the website Medium. So I was like, how are they doing this? But I have yet to figure it out. From this standpoint, you can style your welcome page when people first land here, that they can get the subscribe, very similar to Beehive. And then the post itself, you can kind of style what it's going to look like. You can embed your podcast. This is where you enable chat, you have your team, your privacy. Here's your referrals, and you can customize the rewards. You can connect your subtask to YouTube. So the moment you upload a video on Subtask, it'll automatically get added to your YouTube channel as well. So it kind of makes things a little more streamlined. A lot of times, like I'm uploading to YouTube and then embedding in the newsletter. Or here, it's like I can connect to YouTube, and the moment I upload a video, it's automatically going to get pushed. And then the other thing I want to share is this is where I was talking about the pledges. So you can allow readers to pledge subscriptions. So when turned on, readers of A Peek Behind the Curtain will be able to pledge to pay for a future paid subscription to A Peek Behind the Curtain. And then this is where you can choose like how much you're going to charge for your newsletter. These are the defaults. So it's $5 a month, $50 for annual, and then a founding pledge amount is $125. From building a new post, there isn't a way to do templates. But what you can do is come in here and create a new post, and you can do text, video, audio. This is where the notes is, or you can start a new chat thread as well. But if you come in here and hit text post, this is the WYSIWYG. This is very simple. There's not a lot of craziness going on. This is very much like, even when we first started going down this path with Substack, the homepage said that this was tailored for writers. So I'm almost wondering if this was originally set up for like somebody that's like, I'm writing a book and I want to share my process and get feedback on chapters. I'm trying to think of like what this was initially like the purpose behind it, because I know it was like the whole creators for writers. There's a lot of talks about economy, so it's interesting. It's very niched. But coming in here, I digress. Coming in here, you can come in and add all your headings, normal text. You have your bolds. You can add links. You can embed images. You can build a whole gallery. You can add stock photos, or you can use AI to generate. Again, this is all in the free plan. So I'm not sure how good the generator is. We've seen a lot of these AIs where you get like 12 fingers and 3 eyes, but I didn't test it out. I don't necessarily want to do that live either. You can embed audio, or you can actually record. I saw a lot of people that were doing this where they'd write the whole newsletter, but then they would record them speaking over it. So it was almost like a podcast, but it wasn't. But a lot of them were doing it, and they were just kind of reading their newsletter. So I guess if someone doesn't want to read it, they can just listen to it. You can record videos or upload videos. One quick thing that you can do as well when you're in here, and I thought this wasn't very intuitive at first, because I was like, I want to embed a video, and I'm like, how do I embed YouTube? And I finally realized that if you just get a YouTube link and you paste it, it'll automatically turn it into a video. Wasn't very intuitive, because when I was hitting the video, it's like you can upload a video or record a video. And I'm like, I want to embed a YouTube video. And then finally, I think it was all literally on accident, where I just pasted the link, and then all of a sudden, here we go. I guess it has pattern recognition on the back end, that if it looks at the links and it's like, all right, this follows this pattern. So he's trying to embed a YouTube video, turn it into an iframe, because then you can click it and play it. So it's not even like a thumbnail, like it's the whole kit caboodle. So I'm assuming there's probably a number of patterns that it will follow. Try and test them. I literally just tested YouTube, but I know other video platforms, you got Vimeo and Wistia and Vidyard. I didn't test those. And then even from an audio standpoint, I was wondering, like, if you added an MP3, would it automatically put it in an audio player? Things to test. But then you also have the ability to do block quotes and pull quotes. So you have your list, numbers, and then you can add buttons. And they have all these like quick buttons where you can embed a way for the people to subscribe to your newsletter. You guys subscribe with like a caption, the ability to share with the caption, share the entire publication, leave comments and messages, join the chat, get the Substack app. You can create just random custom buttons. And then you also have this refer a friend, refer a writer, and link to a survey. So if you're building those surveys, you can throw them in your newsletter. From a more perspective, you have your code block, dividers, financial charts, which I thought was interesting. Like just append a bunch of data and it'll make a chart for you. I guess if you're a stock trader or wanting to share some sort of report, I'm going to try to figure out how I can embed one of these and make it make sense. Footnotes, and then I have no idea what these are. And then you can do polls. Again, free. And you don't have to upgrade anything for polls. So you get surveys and polls. Pretty cool. And then you come in here to your settings and you can figure out once everything's in place, you can create tags. You can send a test to yourself. And then of course the SEO options, you can change the title description and then set what you want the link to be. Unfortunately, there's nothing with the graph. So I guess it's just going to pull the first image off of your post, and hopefully there is an image on your post. Otherwise, the social distribution is going to be kind of wonky. But once you have everything how you want it to be done, also another thing, let me jump back in here. There isn't a way to this post is either for everyone or your paid subscribers only. And then even when you're sending it and you hit continue, there's no way to segment. So that was unfortunate. It's like you're either sending it to everybody, you're sending it to your paid subscribers, or like there's no way to say, I want this to just go to this type of person. Like I have all these people sign up for my newsletter, but I only want to go to this list of them. So that was kind of one of the things that kind of made me sad about Substack, was the fact that I can't do that. You can send via email on the Substack app, and then you can also schedule it. So again, like the rest of them, if you're doing a monthly newsletter that you're either sending at the end of the month or the beginning of the month, you can schedule it out and then forget about it and then send to everyone and it's going live. Jumping back into this, once you have a draft, you can save one of them. And I literally build out what I want mine to look like, and I'm like, template do not use. But then if you come in here, you can duplicate. So then that's how you kind of do your workaround for a template. So there's not templates, but you can create one that you want it to be how you want it, and then duplicate it, and then of course update for that current month. But yeah, that's Substack. There's not a lot of bells and whistles. It's kind of very straightforward. There's not a lot of noise. It gives you what you need and you're off to the races. I think for me, giving a little behind the scenes on how I'm going to go about this. I was talking with one of my friends yesterday about this whole thing, and they're like, so what are you going to do? Which one are you going to pick? And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to build one out and then copy it to the other one, then copy it to the other one. And then throughout this video series, each month, I'm going to do an update and share the behind the scenes of how each of them is performing, which ones are getting a lot of subscribers, views. Of course, with Beehive and Kit, there's all promotional things that you can do, but I'll continue building out on all three platforms. And then as the viewers that you guys are watching these videos, you can choose to join all three, or you can pick the one that you like the most or the one that you are personally using for your brand. And if you subscribe to mine, I'll subscribe to yours. But yeah, I think I'm gonna run all three of them and just see which one performs the best. And maybe in the long run, I'll condense down to one, so I just don't have to continue copying and pasting on all of them and rebuilding in some ways, because obviously Substack doesn't have all the capabilities that Kit and Beehive have from a design standpoint. So maybe in the long run, I'll condense down. Plus the fact that Substack's free, but Beehive, once you hit that 2,500 subscribers, then you obviously have to start paying for it. So maybe that mark, that 2,500 subscribers, is where I'll be like, all right, we're either going to stay with Beehive or we're going to condense down to Kit or Substack. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, so you'll be notified of these future videos with the newsletter. If you are building a newsletter, in the comments, share the link to your newsletter and I'll subscribe to it and try to get you some following, so that there's someone have you ever watched the video where it's what was it? How to start a rave or how to start a movement or something. I think it was a TED Talk, but it was there was this one dude, there was this crazy dancer, and You only need that second crazy dancer, and then all of a sudden, like everybody else is like, oh wow, they're having a good time. But you always need like the crazy dude at the beginning to start something, but then it's almost more important for the second person. Otherwise, you're just out there dancing by yourself looking like a fool. But the moment you have the second person, then all of a sudden it's like, all right, like there's something here because two random people are vibing. So yeah, share your link. I'll land this plane. Share your link in the comments, and I'll like subscribe to your newsletter. As always, my name is Josh. Contineofy, a little behind the scenes, building a newsletter. See you in the next one.